Hey folks, as parents, do you always wonder whether you are doing enough for your child or are you doing too much? There's one fact that would surprise you. It takes about 25 complete years for a brain to completely rewire itself or completely develop itself. What does that mean for a parent like me and you? It means that parenting is not a 5 year or a 10-year job, but it's actually a 25-year long journey. Hey, hi, I am Girish, a curious parent, and welcome to CurioMinds. Like any other parent, I wanted my child to be confident, curious, and emotionally stable. But I realized something very peculiar that we learn careers, we have technology, we learn finances, and there are so many other avenues that we learn, but there is no one teaching us the science behind parenting. And that brought me to study neuroscience, psychology, and even rediscover the ancient Japanese Indian parental wisdom. Curio Minds is my journey, and now it's our journey into understanding how modern science and traditional wisdom come together to raise better humans. Parenting, as we said, it starts not on the day when the child is born, but in fact, way earlier when the womb is formed. And from then onwards, for the next 25 years, because the complete brain development of child takes that much time. Now, this brain development or the growth of the brain takes place in a vertical manner from bottom to up and from inside to outside. For simplicity, let's break this whole into four phases or four parts. One, the safety or security brain. Two, the emotional brain. Three, the logical brain. And four, the creativity and identity brain. Okay, yeah, so I think the most interesting part is we don't want to keep this theoretical and we want to make it as practical as possible. So let's take a very common scenario which many of you could resonate with. Let's say your 5 year old refuses to have dinner and throws tantrums. A very, very, very common scenario. Uh, and I think what 90% of parents would try to do in such a situation is either go for a disciplined approach saying that okay, it's time for lunch now or it's time for dinner now and you have to have your dinner, or you will go and say that maybe you lose the your favorite chocolate or you may not get to drive with me tomorrow and so on, so some threat in that aspect. And if you closely look at this, most of the times this won't work. This won't work for the very reason we just saw right now, that between years 2 to 6 the emotional brain or the limbic system is the most active system, and the emotion and the other parts of the brain are still developing, and hence emotion comes first and maybe logic comes last. So in the light of what we just saw, can we just change this approach? And the answer is really yes. And what I think what I would do in such situation is, I think firstly we have to go to the child, to its level, to have an eye contact with the child and ask him, first comfort him in a way that okay, uh, I see you are upset and I'm here. So I think this first thing, I think the this kind of gesture kind of gives solves the or calms down the survival safety network before anything else. And once the survival safety network is calmed down, maybe the next step, you ask your child, okay, it's okay to be angry. Just accept the fact it's okay to be angry. Today it looks like it's dinner isn't fun right now. which is fair. Uh, so this tells the emotional brain that okay, somebody is understanding me, somebody understands me, which is more important than any other logic. And then uh, give a choice. Say, do you want to have your dinner with your favorite green spoon or the yellow fork? I think giving such options, what happens is the emotional part of the brain starts feeling that uh, it has gained control, and once that feeling creeps in, I think that's when you put the cooperation kind of bit in forward, like okay, then okay, now let's have our food together, one bite at a time, and let's finish this off. So I think what we just saw was a classical example where we would have gone logic first, but just because of our understanding, very basic understanding of how the neuroscience science behind this works, we were able to move from logic first to calming the emotions first and then expecting cooperation. So this and many other things, I think, as we dive deep into the framework and into the whole process, I think we get more and more clarity on. Interestingly, the ancient Indian wisdom also aligns very well with what neuroscience says. According to ancient Indian texts, between 0 to 5 years, you should pamper your children, which they call as ladait. Between 5 to 15 years, you should discipline your children, which they term it as tadait. And between 15 to 25 years, they say that you should be friends with your children, which they term as maitrayit. The only nuance while interpreting the word tadait is sometimes it leads or conveys that you should be harsh or hitting your children, which is absolutely not correct. The word tadait here actually intends to talk about strict, firm disciplining to build strong characters. Now, if we sum this all, we really understand that modern science and ancient wisdom align really well. Here, pampering aligns with building emotional security. The discipline aspects aligns with building structured cognitive development, and the friendship as perspective aligns with identity formation and independence. So let's try to bring all of this together. Very simplistically put, a parental life cycle would look like this. If your child is between 0 to 5 years of age, it's all about love and care. If your child is between 6 to 15, it's all about structure and discipline. If your child is between say 15 to 25 years of age, it's about independence and support. All would agree that though this is so simplified, there are so many complexities involved which we will uncover with time. But one thing is for sure, that parenting was never and is not about perfection. It's more about which version of us the child wants at its current stage. Together in this journey, we shall be looking at so many things that every parent ideally should know. What are the top case studies of parenting that of parents who have actually whose children have actually flourished? What are the top books, their reviews, what they talk about, the frameworks they discuss? We'll be also taking on questions and trying to answer them in the current context, and much more. All for us to gain clear, practical, actionable stuff. If this perspective made you curious, then join me on this journey. Together, we will decode neuroscience, psychology, and timeless wisdom to raise happier, calmer, and emotionally stronger kids. Once again, I heartily welcome you to CurioMinds. And for now, have a good one. and take care.